Have you ever been threatened with giving up your possessions like money, a watch or a phone? It's a frustrating experience. When I was 14, 3 senior students from a different school demanded money from me, threatening to punch me for every dollar they found when I told them I had no money. In today's story, I will share a similar legal case involving a 15-year-old boy who was robbed at a train station by 2 young offenders. This is a case of R against Mizzi. You can find additional details of this legal case in the description below. Welcome to my channel. I'm the Storytellawyer, a lawyer, a storyteller. My goal is to show that law is both fun and essential for everyone. Click share, like, and subscribe button for fascinating legal stories and updates. This video is meant for educational and entertainment purposes and not intended to provide legal advice of any kind, and Storytellawyer will not be liable for actions taken based on the content. In today's story, the case revolves around Mizzi, who was convicted for robbing a 15-year-old boy's phone. In October 2023, around 3 o'clock in the morning, the victim, a 15-year-old boy, and his female friend were approached by Mizzi and his co-offender at a train station. At the time of the offence, Mizzi was 20 years old. Mizzi's co-offender engaged the victim in conversation, eventually leading him away from his friend and threatening him with violence. Mizzi was arrested and convicted. The evidence presented in court included CCTV footage showing the co-offender grabbing the victim's collar, pushing him against the wall, and demanding his phone and jumper. Mizzi was seen filming the interaction and later taking the victim's phone. The victim was threatened multiple times with being stabbed if he reported the incident to the police. What did the court find? The court found Mizzi guilty of robbery in company, a serious offence with a maximum penalty of 20 years imprisonment. The main difference between regular robbery and robbery in company lies in the presence of accomplices or co-offenders during the offence. Robbery involves taking property from another person by using force or putting them in fear of violence. This offence carries a maximum sentence of 14 years. Similarly, robbery in company occurs when the offender commits robbery while being in the company of another person or persons, or while being armed with an offensive weapon. This offence carries a maximum sentence of 20 years imprisonment if committed in company and 25 years imprisonment if committed while armed with a dangerous weapon. The court considered several factors for sentencing, including the vulnerability of the victim, the spontaneous nature of the offence, and Mizzi's criminal history. The court also considered Mizzi's deprived upbringing and mental health. Mizzi had a criminal record that included being convicted for stalking and intimidating someone with the intention of causing them to fear physical harm, and was sentenced to a community correction order, which was still operative at the time of the present offending. Also, there was an offence of driving with an illicit drug present in his blood. Mizzi was also convicted for the offence of affray, in other words, using or threatening violence in a way that causes fear in others. An intensive correction order was imposed for this offence. An ICO is a custodial sentence of up to 2 years that the court decides can be served in the community. ICO allows offenders to access intensive supervision as an alternative to jail. Mizzi had a further offence of contravening a prohibition restriction in an apprehended violence order, or AVO. An AVO protects a person by ordering the person not to assault, molest, harass, intimidate, or stalk the protected person for a specific period of time. Mizzi was also convicted of a series of offences in 2024, primarily traffic-related, although there was also an offence of carrying a cutting weapon in custody. Mizzi's background played a significant role in the court's decision. He had a deprived upbringing, with his father in and out of prison, and a history of mental health issues, including ADHD, autism, and Tourette's syndrome. These conditions contributed to his impulsive behavior and reduced his moral culpability. The court considered these subjective evidences in determining Mizzi's sentence, acknowledging the impact of his background and mental health conditions on his behavior and moral culpability. According to the subjective evidence provided by Mizzi's family members, Mizzi's father had been in and out of prison since Mizzi's childhood. Indeed, Mizzi was between the ages of 6 and 7 when his father was imprisoned for the manslaughter of a 19-month-old baby, which was a highly publicized case following a police pursuit. Mizzi was bullied at school in the context of his father's imprisonment. When Mizzi moved to a different school, he continued to struggle. He was diagnosed in his pre-teenage years with suspected ADHD, autism, learning difficulties, Tourette's syndrome, and anxiety. Medication further aggravated his conditions. In his early teenage years, Mizzi experienced difficulties at school and was bullied so severely that he was removed and distance education was initiated. Mizzi remained living with his grandmother until he was 20. At the age of 14, Mizzi's formal schooling ceased and he undertook an apprenticeship with KFC where he remained until 18. In October 2023, Mizzi returned to live with his mother and 2 of his siblings. In 2024, his father was released on parole. Unsurprisingly, there have been difficulties since his father's release. Mizzi's mother recently suffered ill health requiring surgery, which caused further stress to Mizzi. Christine, the maternal grandmother of Mizzi, observed Mizzi continues to act like a 14-year-old boy. According to Christine's testimony, Mizzi's jokes are like a child, and he smiles when nervous and laughs when embarrassed. The key elements of the court's consideration included 1. The impact of Mizzi's mental health conditions on his behavior and moral culpability. 2. The role of the co-offender as the primary instigator of the offence. 3. The court's consideration of Mizzi's disadvantaged upbringing and its influence on his actions. And 4. The balance between punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation in sentencing. What did the court decide? The court ultimately imposed a sentence of 2 years' imprisonment with a portion of the sentence suspended and Mizzi placed under a good behavior order. This decision was influenced by his mental health conditions, the spontaneous nature of the offence, and his prospects for rehabilitation. So, what is a good behavior order? A good behavior order is a court order that requires an offender to be of good behavior for a specified period. This means the offender must not commit any further offences and must comply with any conditions set by the court. These conditions can include attending rehabilitation programs, performing community service, or reporting regularly to a probation officer. This case highlights the importance of considering both the actions and the context in which they occur. It's a reminder of the consequences of wrongful actions and the need for a balanced approach to achieve justice. Let me ask you questions regarding your own experiences with similar crimes. Have you ever been threatened with giving up your possessions or rights? Or have you ever threatened someone yourself? Leave your comments below and share your experiences. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful stories on legal cases.